Hey, it's Barb from Wonderful Works. Did you know that autism is often diagnosed into 3 levels, with each one representing a different level of support needed? The level of autism that requires the least amount of support used to be commonly known as Aspergers, but today it's called Autism Level 1, and we are going to learn all about it. We're so glad you're here. Oh, hi there. Are you new? Why do you look so nervous? Oh, you have autism and sometimes fitting in somewhere new feels hard? Wonder if there's anything we can do to help. Have you ever wondered what it may be like to experience the world differently than those around you? How do you think that would feel? Isolating? Confusing? Well, this is how it can sometimes feel for students who are on the autism spectrum, but doesn't have to. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects communication, behavior, and social functioning. It's on a spectrum, which means that there's a wide variation in the type and severity of symptoms. It is commonly diagnosed in 3 different levels, each with a different level of recommended support. Which means when it comes to church, some students will benefit from a one-on-one buddy, but others, like those who have level 1 autism, may just need a little extra understanding and support when needed. Today, we're going to look at 3 ways to give that extra support at church. Number 1, understand what's challenging. The first way that leaders can set a student up for success is to understand that although every person who has autism is unique, there are a few common things that may be more likely to be challenging for people on the spectrum, like trying something new. Many students with ASD thrive on routine and really enjoy knowing what to expect, which means trying something new may make them anxious, especially since trying new things often requires the ability to make assumptions, which is often harder for people on the spectrum. Let me give you an example. A person may say something like, "Hey, go make us some sandwiches," which is a really general direction that is actually made up of many steps that are assumed, such as find the ingredients, get some plates, spread the mayo, slice the tomato, stack the bologna, put the second slice of bread on top, return the leftovers to the fridge, put the dirty dishes in the sink, and then bring the sandwiches back to the group. Wow! You see how many steps were assumed? So if knowing how to assume what the in-between steps are is difficult, can you see how trying something new would be stressful? So if you want to help, try this. Give step-by-step instructions and allow a student to ask as many questions as he needs to understand. Or when a student attempts a new task, ask someone to go with him and help as needed. Another thing to know is that sensory overload can happen. Many students also are more sensitive to their environments, which means things like loud noises, tons of action, intense smells, and uncomfortable textures can potentially overwhelm their sensory system and cause them to withdraw or act out. Luckily, none of those things are ever present at church. Oh, wait. So here's what you can do to help. Have a safe, calm area where the student can go if he begins to feel overstimulated, and have things like noise-canceling headphones and sensory fidgets on hand if needed. The next thing you want to be aware of is that managing emotions isn't always easy. Emotional self-regulation can be more challenging for students on the spectrum, and this means that sometimes they can get easily frustrated or overwhelmed, and they sometimes may not be able to cope in an appropriate way. How to handle this will vary depending on the situation. Safety always comes first, but many times giving the student a chance to calm down and introduce coping methods like taking deep breaths, walking around, or talking through their feelings may help. Finally, understand that social situations can be tricky. Reading social cues such as facial expressions and tone of voice and interpreting language that says one thing but means another is often much more difficult. And not understanding this type of communication can often lead to students with ASD responding inappropriately. And this can cause problems with peers. So here's a few things you can try. First, model inclusion by continuously inviting the student into the group, but also be respectful if he prefers his space. If you see that he's confused by the way others are responding to him, help him by being kind and clear about social expectations. And one of the best ways to help is, if appropriate, ask a few compassionate students to be intentional about helping him feel accepted and included. Oh, and one more tip here. When a student does have challenging behavior, assume positive intent. Know that it's most likely that the student is not trying to be difficult. He's just trying to cope with something that's challenging. So approach with empathy and help him figure it out. Number 2, listen to learn. Another great way to help is to listen to the experts, the student and his family. Invite them to partner with you as you look for ways to build support. Ask questions and answer theirs. Work together and be sure that there's one question that you ask. How much do you want to share with the group? Some students may want total privacy, while others may love a chance to educate the group with some self-advocacy. Respect whatever they choose. Number 3, celebrate strengths. Don't forget, each student has plenty of strengths too. Find out what your student's gifts are and then look for opportunities for him to serve your ministry. Wow, I think we learned a lot about supporting students with Level 1 autism. But there's one more thing before you go. Think again about what it would feel like to experience the world differently. How would you want others to treat you? Maybe something a little like this? Thanks for joining us. See you next time.